Are you coming back to school with me? We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson Wood. I'm your host on Teaching with Board Games. Here today to take a look at Roller Ghoster by Drei Magia Spiel. So Roller Ghoster is a roll and move game with a bit of a twist, well actually a literal twist as you're twisting the top of the tower, which you'll see in just a moment. And it's for ages 5 plus, 2 to 4 players, so a very simple game. It's a very simple game in which you are each player is playing a ghost trying to race up this old tower to the top, but the trick is that there's these balls which come down, Fireball Island kind of style, knocking the ghost back down into these pits, but you have ways to avoid it, but they just take longer to do so. So do you risk it and go for the win, or do you play it safe and avoid the things but take the longer route? That's the choice you have to make in Roller Ghoster. Let me show you how it's played and tell you what I think. So when playing Roller Ghoster, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up this whole tower structure. Now you do use the bottom half of the box for this, and it has these pits in the 4 corners, which are going to be important, as you'll see in a moment. The whole thing, I mean, it looks pretty impressive when it's all set up, and it's really easy to do. It's certainly easier than like the game Mousetrap to set all that stuff up. And this one is like Mousetrap, it's built beforehand, which is important. But like these things here, they simply just, you see, I just unhook it, and they have these slots in the side here, and the slots you just tilt it up, hook them in, and let it down. And it doesn't matter which one goes in where, because they just kind of, the same idea kind of goes around and around and around, and then up to here, and then over here, this one does hook. There's one with a little tunnel piece coming out here, and this one's going to has special pegs that hook in underneath this one, so that's going to be special for that. But other than that, so you just have to look for the pegs, the holes underneath to match those pegs. Then you set that up. So the number of players here, each person gets their own dice, their own peg. You have the one dice. The dice has the numbers 1 to 3 on it, and some of them have an arrow. As you're playing the game, each player starts off rolling the dice. If you get a number, you move that many spaces. If you roll a ghost, you move another player's piece 1 space. And if you roll a 2 or 3, you move that many spaces. If you get the arrow, that means you're going to move that many spaces indicated by the arrow, and then you're going to move this thing at the top. So let's just say I think I rolled 1 with an arrow for the first one. So 1 with an arrow, the player's going to come here. But let's just say I got 2 with an arrow. Let's just make things a little more interesting. So I got 2 with an arrow. You now have the choice when you come to these steps here, and you can't see it really there. I mean, it's not going to show, but these have a star there, and these are the starting spaces. So you're starting there, and so you can go 1 2 or 1 2. So in this case, let's be more interesting. We're going to go 1 2, but it has the arrows. Now this would be a strategy thing that you probably wouldn't want to do. You can talk to your kids, your students, your children, whatever, about it, whoever you're playing with, because this going here is dangerous. It's quicker. There's only 2 spaces up to the next spot, whereas this is a lot more spaces. But this space here, you can't get hit. Hit by what, you ask? Well, here we go and find out. So you're going to turn this thing, and you see 1 ball came out down this side here, and they're going to go into the pit. So these balls are going to roll out, and every time they roll out, you make sure they go back in. There should always be 3 balls in the pits. Let me just double check that there's none currently in the pits, and there's not. So then the next player is going to go, and they roll a ghost. So they're going to have to move the other player. And then they go, and it's 3, so 1 up to there. Oh, sorry, 1 to there. Just following the dotted line that's on the board. And then 2 and 3. This player is really taking some risks. And then back to the yellow player. They still have to get onto the board. And now they're going to go 3. They're going to play it safe. 1 2 3. Now it's, see here, they have this space here. It's a crack in the plastic, and then this arrow, it shows that's called the rotten step. And if you ever land on the rotten step, you have to go on and slide down. And this can be part of the strategy, is like if somebody is trying to play it safe and you get the ghost and you can move somebody, move them onto that space. So they're not only going backwards, but they're also going to have a chance of going out. So I mean, that's pretty much it for the game. You keep doing that until somebody gets to the top. Now if you get the thing and the ball comes out, okay, so I'm not getting much luck. No, okay. Just want to show you what happens when they get hit. Right, and again, there we go, boom. Okay, so they get hit. They're going to get knocked down into one of the pits. They stay in that pit until the start of the next turn, at which point they come up again. Any of these spaces here where the ramp starts, the little dotted line goes, there's a star. That's the starting space for anytime you're out. So you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. So it's not going to be like anything depressing like that. I hated games where you always had to go all the way back to start. No, this is just to there. And so so if you're at the last leg of the race, you're not going to have to go all the way back to the beginning and start all over again. You're just going to start there. So you're still very close to the end. It can still be a close race. So there's a little bit of strategy involved in terms of you going for the safer but the longer route. You're going to take the chance to go for the fast route. Obviously, like I'm saying, don't go for the fast route if you've already got the arrow thing here, because that means you're really putting yourself at risk, unnecessary risk. And there's counting up to 3. Strategy when to move the other player onto those rotten spaces. There's no reading involved. There's no real math involved. It's a fun game. It's something that the kids will enjoy. So for the report card for it, I mean, for number of players, I'm going to give it a B because it plays between 2 to 4 players. For learning, I would give it a C because there's really nothing to learn. I mean, except when I played with my grandchildren on the weekend, and my granddaughter, who's still, I'm proud of her, and that this is one of her first games we played as a real game. We weren't just playing with the pieces and role playing on using the structure as a role playing sort of stage, if you will. So she was learning to take turns. She was learning to roll properly. She was learning to lose because she lost both the games we played, and she wasn't happy about it, but there was no tears. A little bit of whining, but no tears. And so, but no real math, no reading, nothing really sort of that curricular learning that you'd like to get in a board game. But it's, again, sometimes just that bonding time, that social aspect of things is also very important. Fun, I give it a B. It was a fun game. The tension of the race, and the tension of do you take the short route, but the dangerous route and the long route, and every time you click that, you're just holding your breath, wondering, are you going to get knocked down? It was a lot of fun. So you know what? B plus then. I'll knock it up to the B plus. I talked myself into it. And then for time, I'll give it a B. It's a very quick game. I think it's sort of about the amount of time you want to spend for a game like this. 10-15 minutes to play it. And then if you want to play it again, you can, but it's not something like long and drawn out that overstays its welcome. And for cost, I'm going to give it a B. The cost is about $32 Canadian for a game, which, as board games go, it's not bad. I mean, this has got these molded plastic pieces, the cardboard setup, the tower, but it's easy enough that kids can play by themselves. And as I always say, you have to consider how much value you're going to get out of this game. Like, how many times are you going to play this? And I think this is the kind of game that kids could play by themselves. This is games that kids would want to play and set up and enjoy on their own. So I think that it certainly will pay for itself in terms of the value that you'd be getting out of it. So yeah, I give it a B for that. And that is my overall impression of the Roller Coaster. So Roller Coaster is the kind of game which isn't, I don't think, going to be great for classroom settings. I say that for a couple of reasons. One, because it doesn't have any of that real curricular knowledge like I'm always looking for the games in the classroom. Something that's going to be, you can use in centers, something you can use as just a learning tool in some way for classroom settings. The second thing is that you have these marbles, and the marbles have to be that size. If they're a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, I guess a little bit smaller wouldn't be so bad. I don't know if they'd maybe get jammed, but certainly anything bigger aren't going to fit where they need to fit with the game. So, and I just think that I just see my kids losing them, or the pieces or whatever. And if you lose the dice, then the dice is pretty essential. I guess you could modify that, but I mean, overall, there's just enough pieces into this game and parts and stuff. I just wouldn't trust a classroom of kids to use it. Kids at home, sure, whatever. You can supervise, you can play with them, you can sort of, it's yours. But I mean, when it's a bunch of kids in the classroom, I just find that they tend to have less respect for the games than you might hope, and pieces tend to get broken and missing much quicker than they do when they're games that I've had at home. So yeah, wouldn't recommend it in that way. But for a home game, I think it's a lot of fun. I played it with the grandkids on the weekend, and we had fun with it. Like I said, this is, like I said before, showing you how to play. This is one in which Tiffany is actually playing games now. My younger granddaughter, I guess she's my older granddaughter, and she is getting to the point now where it's not just playing with the pieces and having conversations and just playing with everything as sort of a role play set, but as actually playing as the game is intended. So it's interesting to see now. She still hates losing, really hates losing, but it's getting there. So I just think that this game is a fun one and for the home, but not one I'd recommend for the classroom. Thumbs up for me for the home. So that's going to wrap it up for Roller Ghoster. If you're new to the channel, then what I'm doing is I'm putting out content about games and gamification, how we can use games for learning tools in the classroom, at home, or however we do our learning and help other people to learn. So really start reaching out to the teachers, the people who homeschool and such, and to try and provide a resource to show you different ways in which we can learn and gamify our learning to make it more fun, more motivating for kids to learn. If this sounds good to you, then do please hit that like and subscribe buttons. Well, the likes button and the subscribe button. Don't try and do it simultaneously. Do take your time and do one each separately and properly. Maybe that little bell icon over there, that's going to tell you when new content is coming out. And if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from the viewers. I'd love to give you relevant content, and by telling me what you want to see, that helps me to give you that relevant content. And that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, your host on Teaching with Board Games, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school?